Whispers of the Seine River flowed gently through Paris, carrying with it the reflections of ancient bridges, golden sunsets, and the quiet murmurs of lovers who walked along its banks. Among the narrow cobbled streets, tucked between a bakery and an antique shop, stood a little bookstore with faded green shutters. Its name, painted in peeling gold letters, read Less Raves Forgotten Dreams. The shop belonged to Elise, a quiet woman with soft brown eyes and a habit of tucking stray strands of hair behind her ear whenever she grew nervous. Her world was made of pages, ink, and the rustle of old novels. She preferred the company of books to the chaos of Paris, and though customers came and went, her heart remained untouched until one evening, when the bell above the door chimed and a stranger walked in. He was tall, with paint stains on his fingers and the distant look of a dreamer in his hazel eyes. Julien, a painter who lived in a small studio near Montmartre, had wandered into the shop while searching for inspiration. "Bonsoir," he greeted softly, his voice carrying the rhythm of someone who often spoke to canvases rather than people. Elise smiled politely. "Bonsoir." Looking for something special. Julien's gaze drifted across the shelves, then returned to her. Perhaps not something. Perhaps someone. She flushed at his words, though she quickly busied herself stacking books. He chuckled, picking up an old volume of Baudelaire's poetry. When he left, she thought little of it. Yet the next morning, while organizing returned books, she discovered something unusual, a folded note tucked inside the very pages of Baudelaire he had purchased. Her fingers trembled as she unfolded it. "To the keeper of forgotten dreams, your bookstore feels like stepping into a secret world. I would like to know its guardian." Elise's heart skipped. She told herself not to think much of it. But when Julien returned 2 days later, browsing quietly, she couldn't resist slipping a reply into a novel he reached for. To the painter of wandering eyes, guardians are meant to protect secrets. But perhaps some secrets are worth sharing. Thus began their strange, tender exchange. Each week, Julien visited, leaving behind a note tucked between the pages of different book sketches, questions about her favorite colors, childhood memories, dreams she had yet to speak aloud. Elise responded, her neat handwriting weaving through his messy scrawls. Their words danced between poetry and confession, the kind of intimacy that grows not from sight but from soul. She wrote about how her parents had left the bookstore to her when they passed, how she feared being too quiet for the world. He wrote about painting in a freezing attic, about chasing beauty that always seemed just out of reach. Through letters, they built a love neither dared to speak aloud. One rainy evening, Julien left a note inside the little prince. "If you ever grow tired of hiding in ink, meet me beneath Pont Neuf at midnight. The river may tell us if dreams can live outside books." Elise read it again and again, her heart racing. 4 hours, she debated, pacing the bookstore aisles, listening to the rain, tapping on the shutters. Fear whispered in her ear, what if meeting him broke the fragile magic they had? Yet something stronger pulled her forward. At midnight, the city glistened under the Seine shimmered with rain, and beneath the arches of Pont Neuf. Julien waited, his coat damp, his eyes searching. When she appeared, breathless, umbrella in hand, he smiled as if he had been painting her in his mind all along. "Elise!" he whispered, her name carrying more weight than all their letters combined. For the first time, their words did not need paper. They spoke until dawn, wandering along the riverbanks, their laughter mingling with the sound of the flowing Seine. Days turned into weeks. Julien began painting in her shop's back room, turning stacks of books into still life muses. Elise learned to see the world through his eyes, the curve of a bridge, the way light kissed water, the poetry in silence. And he, in turn, discovered the beauty of her voice when she read aloud, the quiet strength in her solitude. Yet, beneath their growing love, a shadow lingered. Julien confessed that he had been offered a chance to showcase his art in New York, a dream he had chased for years. Elise's heart wavered. To support him meant losing him. To keep him meant caging his dreams. One evening, as twilight bathed the Seine, she slipped a note inside his sketchbook. "To the dreamer who paints my heart, the world deserves to see your colors, even if it means the pages of our story will rest in silence." When Julien found it, his eyes filled with tears. He held her hand and whispered, "What is art, Elise? if not love? And what is love, if not choosing to stay? The night of the exhibition arrived. Instead of boarding a plane to New York, Julian unveiled his collection in Paris. Each canvas was a hymn to Elise, her bookstore bathed in golden light, her silhouette by the Seine, her hands holding letters. The crowd applauded, but for Julian, only one gaze mattered. Elise, standing shyly at the back, her eyes shimmering, realized he had already chosen his masterpiece, and it was not on canvas, but standing before him. Months later, under the glittering lights of the Eiffel Tower, Julian took her hand. The air was crisp, filled with the hum of tourists and the heartbeat of the city. I once searched for inspiration in every street, every sky, he said softly, but I found it hidden in a bookstore between the pages of forgotten dreams. Elise's cheeks flushed as tears gathered in her eyes. And I, she whispered, found love written between the lines, beneath the Eiffel Tower, with Paris as their witness. He kissed her not as a painter seeking beauty, but as a man who had finally found home. The Seine flowed quietly beside them, carrying their whispers into eternity.